Luckily, this video isn't going to be as controversial as last week's, but it does round out the discussion. If you missed it, I already made the video for 10 reasons you should listen to the Blades and kill Paarthurnax, which is, well, pretty unpopular to say the least. This week, we're looking at the 12 reasons you should ignore the Blades and not kill Paarthurnax. If you're still on the fence at the end of this video, and after watching last week's video, don't worry, I plan on doing my final decision next week. This serves as a steel man against the Blades. So without further ado, here are the 17 reasons the Blades are stupid. Reason number 1, the absolute failure of their primary function. Oh, you thought this video was about the Blades in Skyrim? Hell no. We're going back, further than that. Not that far, but yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at the first time I met the Blades personally, when they were openly failing at their job. Don't worry, we'll get to the reasons in Skyrim why you should hate those specific Blades, and believe me, there's plenty of reasons, but first we need to take a closer look at their organization as a whole. How they function, how they do what they do, and wouldn't you know it, even when the Blades had their easiest job ever, and when their empire was at its historical height, they still can't do their job. In fact, I would argue that not only is the rise of the Aldmeri Dominion the fault of the Blades we see in Skyrim, but the Oblivion Crisis was directly caused by the failure of the Blades we see in that game. Is it possible the Blades are actually the villains of the Elder Scrolls? All they have to do in Oblivion is protect the Emperor, and at this point he had a few sons, so they had a few chances to get it right. And, well, we all know what happens. This isn't Morrowind. They aren't in charge of an espionage branch of the government. No, in Oblivion, they're glorified babysitters. And the only one who seems to understand how badly they screwed all this up is Boris.
We failed. I failed. The Blades are sworn to protect the Emperor. Now he and all his heirs are dead.
And he just gives up. You really need to ask yourself this right at the outset. Do you really want this faction to come back? I mean, be honest. In a meta sense, if the Blades disappear, we probably wouldn't have any more Elder Scrolls games because there wouldn't be anybody f***ing everything up. So I guess if you like the Elder Scrolls, you should keep them around. But if we use the in-universe logic, they are the most incompetent group in Tamriel. And that's saying something. But how are they at their other tasks? Well, let's move on and find out, because from where I'm sitting, they couldn't do a single one of their jobs right, including the easiest one, reason number 2, they forgot the location of their own headquarters. Remember that in addition to failing to protect the Emperor and failing to be spies that predicted anything useful, they also have a duty to preserve history. How do they do on that? Well, the most significant historical site in Skyrim is apparently Skyhaven Temple, home of a total of 5 sets of armor and 5 swords, and a single comic strip made out of rock. Truly, the Blades have always been a staggering intellect. Yeah, we better preserve that history for sure. Thank Talos we brought Esbern out of hiding so that we could preserve this monastery in the middle of the Forsworn territory. Still, setting aside the fact that this temple barely has any history worth preserving, they still failed to preserve even that. Remember that the preservation of history includes making it so that you don't have to dig up artifacts every time you forgot something. To preserve Skyhaven Temple, they shouldn't have to open it. They should just know what's in there. So this proves 2 things. First, the history they're trying to preserve could easily be written down in a 3-page book. No need for a massive real estate venture, a bunch of traps, and a return to the site. I mean, Esbern has a book that tells about Skyhaven Temple, but if that book just had a picture of Alduin's Wall instead, we wouldn't have to hoof it all the way across Tamriel, would we?
Despite the far-reaching fame of Alduin's Wall at the time, one of the wonders of the ancient world, its location was lost.
And thing number 2 it teaches, the Blades don't actually give a shit about history. You can see this temple from the road. With one single rope, anyone could climb up the back and take over this temple. How exactly did this temple fall out of memory when the 2 Blades in the game are still alive from the Thalmor Purge? You guys can't even protect history when you can see it from the road, and your organization was still a major part of the Empire 25 years ago. Why should I believe that you can protect the rest of history either? And you know what? Let's talk a little bit more about Skyhaven Temple, because reason number 3, Skyhaven Temple is completely unnecessary. I think the worst thing about this is how shoehorned it feels. The story, as it exists, tries to suggest that without the Blades and the Greybeards, we would have no chance of beating Alduin, right? Well, if you actually think about it, we were well on our way to being trained in the Thu'um when Delphine inserts herself into our lives. In fact, we were about to raise our stakes in the Greybeards, and maybe they would have introduced us to Paarthurnax anyway.
As for me, I kept from you only what you were not yet ready to know, are still not ready to know, as your question reveals.
But instead, Delphine steals the horn of Jurgen Windcaller, and then tells us it's definitely the Thalmor. Then we go after Esbern, and Esbern is the one who's like, oh, we need Dragonrend. But then we go back to the Greybeards, and they're like, no, we don't know what that is, but our master Paarthurnax might. And then, Paarthurnax is a dragon? And it's Paarthurnax who's like,
oh, Dragonrend? Oh, yeah, I know about that shit. You gotta get an Elder Scroll. Come right here, read it, and then you'll know Dragonrend.
He already knows everything there is to know about it. He knows what it does, he knows how to get it, he knows how to use it. Remind me, why do we need the Blades again? Oh, right, because if the Greybeards weren't reluctant to let you meet Paarthurnax, you wouldn't have needed Delphine wasting your time for half the main quest. So the story behind this place is stupid. Then you get to the place itself, and the temple has 3 puzzles. One is a lock with 9 total possible combinations. Then there's an Indiana Jones style trap floor where the solution is to step on the shapes you just used. So in other words, if you got through the first trap, 100% of the people who made it to the second trap would know how to do it because they use the same shape. Anyways, and then you realize none of what I've said so far is necessary about this place because reason number 4, they use bloodlock technology. Pretty much everything about Skyhaven Temple is stupid. The lore, the temple itself, but nothing is quite as bad as this lock. For this, they have the blood seal. Only a Dragonborn's blood can open it. But was this temple a home for the Dragonborn? Well, no, it was more of a barracks and training area for the Blades. When you first get in there, it's set up to have like 5 to 7 people stay there, and then has a training area. There's nothing to suggest that this was anything than a meeting point for the Blades. Plus, there is of course the historical monument of Alduin's Wall. So why would you seal it this way? Imagine if you were like an accountant for Superman or something, and you were like, I'm gonna build my office so that it has to be opened by Kryptonian blood. That way, if I accidentally lock myself out of the office where I prepare his financial records with other accountants, I have to call Superman himself to come all the way out here just to unlock it. For most of the Empire's history, the Dragonborn in question was the Emperor himself. Imagine if you needed to get into the Blades headquarters in Skyrim. You'd have to send a messenger to the Emperor, wait, hope he isn't busy, wait until he arrives, and all that just to open a door. Who built this thing? And then, if you have a blood seal, because for whatever reason you decided not to allow anyone to enter unless they are a Dragonborn, well, then why did you put a fire shooting floor or the world's easiest combination lock? And then after all that, once you've wasted the Dragonborn's time, the Dragonborn or Emperor arrives, and guess what? They have to cut their hand open and bleed. Because insult or injury by themselves weren't enough. You need both. Talk about the worst group in the series. Honestly, this all might just be by design, just to keep people out in the hope that everyone just forgets about the Blades, since reason number 5, they have 0 long-term recruitment standards. Now, in my last video, I pointed out how fun the gameplay loop around rebuilding the Blades is, and I stand by that. But it still doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, sure, you have the people that have some loyalty already, the people who already have honor when you find them, but this guy? He'll become a Blade permanently for 500 gold. I don't know anything about him. This girl will become a Blade if I beat her up. Now they both have their own set of ancient armor and weapons and apparently took an oath to obey the Dragonborn and fight dragons for the rest of their life. By the time the Dragonborn has enough money to where they are deciding which of their 10 houses is their favorite, they can very easily translate their wealth into an army of mercenaries. I mean, I don't have to spell this out, right? Sure, in this game, we are killing dragons, but what about after that? When you inevitably leave the Blades in the hands of Delphine and Esbern, you've just given them a private military funded entirely by you that they have full control over. And they've sworn to do whatever you say. But obviously when you're not around, who do you think they're listening to? These people could be criminals, they could be mentally unwell. I mean, we just don't know them, and yet you've just handed them over to a group with no allegiance to the Empire Stormcloaks or any other governing body. And honestly, that should be its own point, since reason number 6, they don't have loyalty to anyone. When Esbern and Delphine tell you how amazing it will be that you can kill Paarthurnax, they make a staggering confession.
He's a dragon. Not just any dragon, but the right hand of Alduin, responsible for many atrocities during the ancient Dragon War. The Blades have been hunting him for centuries, but he was protected by the Greybeards and then the Emperors. Justice demands that he die for his crimes.
Is that resentment I hear? Who do you guys answer to? I mean, I know you don't give a shit about me when I'm the Dragonborn, but you're telling me the Emperors told you not to kill Paarthurnax, and yet here you are trying to kill Paarthurnax anyway? All 2 of you? Is there anyone you guys actually listen to? I think it's stupid that Skyhaven Temple was empty, but whatever. Here we are in our own private fortress in the clouds with our own private military, and you guys are talking about how everyone in the whole world, including your boss, the Emperor, was wrong for thousands of years. Everyone agrees that you shouldn't kill Paarthurnax, and yet here you are plotting to do it anyway. Do you hear yourself? I made a whole video where I took your sides, and yet you're almost too stupid to defend. And the only saving grace at the end of the day still proves how stupid you are, since reason number 7, there's so few Blades. There's only 2 of these guys. Even if you do all the work and recruit for these 2 has-beens, there can only be a maximum of 5 Blades. Can we really call this rebuilding the Blades? When you start the game, there's 2 old, washed-out have-beens living in hiding. And if you kill Paarthurnax, then do all the work on your own, you end the game with a whopping total of 5 dudes living on a mountain in the middle of nowhere. I've seen dragons single-handedly take out entire towns, wiping out all the guards, all the citizens, and all the animals. What the hell is a group of 5 people gonna do? When you go after a dragon in the game, it's just you and 3 brand new recruits. And as fun as the fight is in concept, I spend most of my time just sitting around anxious that my recruit is gonna get burnt to a crisp rather than glorying in the battle against a dragon. I genuinely think this group is doomed to fail no matter what you do. There's just no way this ragtag group of dragon hunters are gonna get anywhere productive against literal dragons, and that's nothing to the other enemies in the game, since reason number 8, the Thalmor are for sure going to come after them. When we find Delphine, she's hiding out pretending to be an innkeeper. She's in so deep, her bartender doesn't seem to suspect a thing.
Orgnar, hold down the bar for a minute, will you?
Yeah, sure.
This way.
And Esbern? Well, he's living like a rat in a sewer. He's so hidden in the bowels of the city, I'm not even sure where he gets his food from. When you meet him, he seems like he genuinely might be going insane. And that is what the only 2 surviving Blades we know of have to live in order to keep out of the clutches of the Thalmor. And then what do these guys do? Well, their first official act is they go to a peace treaty with Elenwyn, the head of the Thalmor, in attendance. And you might be thinking, well, Elenwyn won't know where their secret, private, locked hideout is, right? Well, it's right there. Like I said before, you can see it from the road. Between showing that they are still alive and very publicly slaughtering an entire Forsworn camp, these guys' days are numbered. How long do you think 2 old Blades, whose fighting days are behind them, and 3 brand new recruits can hold out against the might of the Aldmeri Dominion, who has expressly stated that killing the Blades is part of the White Gold Concordat and a genuine goal for their organization? But what if the Dragonborn would help them? Well, hopefully you won't. Not if you listen to this video. My point is that these people, Esbern and Delphine especially, are so stupid, such a lost cause, that any reasonable Dragonborn should just leave them alone in the temple, or use ancient Dwemer technology to install a mod that allows you to kill them. They are genuinely just going to cause trouble doing exactly what they were doing, which brings me to reason number 9. Setting up their rebirth in the middle of a civil war is certainly a move. I genuinely don't know how no one is talking about this. Look, the Civil War is not about Talos worship. Not really. If you don't believe me, go watch my series on the Civil War where I examine both sides. Anyway, it's about the rights of a province. Does Skyrim have the right to expel the Thalmor Inquisition from their lands? And if the answer, according to the Empire, is no, should Skyrim declare its independence from that empire? The fault of all this boils down to whose fault it is that there's an Inquisition in the first place. There's a reasonable argument that Ulfric caused them to come by forcing the worship of Talos during the Markarth incident.
We didn't pay much attention to it when I was a boy. Everyone still had their little shrine to Talos. But then, Ulfric and his sons of Skyrim started agitating about it. And sure enough, the Emperor had to crack down, dragging people off in the middle of the night. One of the main causes of this war, if you ask me.
But there's an even better argument that the Empire was simply too weak to stand up for them and only cared about saving its own skin by giving in to the Aldmeri.
We're fighting because we're done bleeding for an empire that won't bleed for us. Untold numbers of Nords died defending the empire against the Dominion. And for what? Skyrim being sold to the Thalmor so the emperor could keep his throne.
Whoever you decide is at fault has committed grave crimes against Skyrim and her people. But you know what I never hear about? The Blades deciding to reform in the middle of an Inquisition. It's one thing to meet in secret, to tell the Dragonborn how to defeat Alduin, but just brazenly retaking a temple, then showing up at a peace treaty where the Thalmor are, and then forming more ranks is literally the stupidest thing I have ever seen. They're going to bring even more Thalmor justiciars into the land. They want to form a military in Skyrim? It's under lockdown. It's in the middle of a civil war. Well, the Aldmeri Dominion now have a justification to bring their military in response. They had to manipulate Ulfric to get the justification for an Inquisition, and you, darling Delphine, have just given them what they need for a full-scale invasion. And that's exactly why they'll have even more enemies than just the Thalmor, since, reason number 10, even the Empire and the Stormcloaks are going to want them dead. Now, building off the last point, we know that the Empire hates the Thalmor, and we know that the Stormcloaks hate the Thalmor. So what's the problem? No one wants to do what the Thalmor wants, but you know what they both hate even more? Giving the Thalmor reasons to occupy their lands. In addition to giving the Thalmor an official reason to come into Skyrim with military force to oppose the Blades, you know what else the Thalmor is going to do? Well, in the same way they forced the Empire to fight the Stormcloaks, they are certainly going to force the Empire to fight you, the Blades, as well. So now they have two major factions as enemies as soon as they reform. What about the Stormcloaks? Well, remember this interaction?
Stop! Are you so blind to our danger that you can't see past your petty disagreements? Here you sit arguing about nothing, while the fate of the land hangs in the balance.
Is he with you, Delphine? If so, I advise you to tell him to watch his tongue.
He is with me. And I advise you both to listen to what he has to say.
Look, I don't know how Delphine and Ulfric know each other, but it's probably a loose alliance against the Thalmor. And then Delphine mouths off to a man who wants to be High King. And we know a lot about Ulfric, right? He's a very forgiving, understanding person. He doesn't react violently to perceived slights, or people questioning his honor, or his authority, right?
No doubt, he thought it was the only way to make his point. And also, because he knew he could.
In fact, this is a really fun moment in the main quest, because at this exact moment, after this interaction, the Blades are in a room with the Thalmor, who want to kill them, the Empire, who has made an oath to do the will of the Thalmor and kill them, the Stormcloaks, who they just offended, and the Greybeards, who openly hate them. And, well, then there's you, the Dragonborn, who, after this video, will probably hate them too. And here they are telling everyone what to do, and doing nothing themselves. Truly, these people are determined to make their little band of 5 enemies of everyone, everywhere. But I guess that still leaves you if you aren't convinced. I mean, there's no way they'd make an enemy of the Dragonborn. That would mean, reason number 11, they completely misunderstand their relationship with the Dragonborn. So unfortunately, the Blades don't really seem to know what they're supposed to be doing. They want to protect history, they want to be dragon slayers, they were a spy service for the Empire, and they were the Emperor's personal bodyguards. I mean, pick a lane, right? But considering they are bad at every single one of those jobs that I just mentioned, you'd think that they could pick their favorite job more carefully. You know, their self-professed most important job, working for the Dragonborn.
The Blades have always guarded and guided the Dragonborn, but we'd forgotten why.
And yet, we all already know the answer, how they do at that, don't we? Do they ever once the entire game do anything for you? Or do they treat you like you're an errand boy? You're just supposed to obey them.
Beware. The Blades may claim to serve the Dragonborn, but they do not. They never have.
I truly don't understand this. Why even bring back the Blades if this is how you're going to act? The Empire doesn't want them. They can't kill dragons without you. The history they're protecting was fine without them interfering. If they aren't going to help you out, why do they even exist? Don't forget that at the end of the meeting I just showed, this is the moment where Delphine and Esbern usually decide it's time to tell the Dragonborn, hey man, you're either with us or against us.
Here's one more thing. We know about Paarthurnax. That's fine. We needed his help. Now we don't. And it's long past time for him to pay for his crimes.
Talk about shitting the bed. Everyone of importance in the Elder Scrolls, as a series, is in this room. And they would rather watch all of them die. Ending the entire world, yes, but also ending the pacifist Greybeards, who despite doing nothing at all at the top of a mountain, managed to make the Blades look bad too, since, reason number 12, they managed to make enemies of the Greybeards. Let's take it back from the top of the story. Imagine you've been in hiding for a couple decades, and you decide it's high time to announce your presence. You know coming back is going to upset a lot of people. I would think one of the first and most important things to do at this point would be to secure allies, right? In our world, let's roll with the Tibetan monks. They live in isolation, in some cases in total silence. They are neutral to world affairs, and they are committed to peace. Seems like a pretty good comparison to the Greybeards, right? So now picture you are in hiding somewhere in Tibet. All you have to do is fly under the radar to not die. Well, now imagine the first thing you do is just start insulting these guys to one of their new students.
If they had their way, you do nothing but sit up on their mountain with them and talk to the sky or whatever it is they do. The Greybeards are so afraid of power that they won't use it. Think about it. Have they tried to stop the Civil War or done anything about Alduin? No. And they're afraid of you, of your power. Trust me, there is no need to be afraid.
I mean, why? Why do that? The only people in the world you can rest assured aren't going to immediately kill you as soon as you walk outside your front door are the peaceful monks. And the first thing you do is make a beef with them? Listen to what I just said and tell me Delphine is not an idiot. And even if they do survive long enough, despite making enemies with every group, including the monks, there's still reason number 13. How could they ever hunt dragons effectively? If you do decide to push the Blades into a useful position, the only thing they really do is hunt dragons. Now, I already mentioned that this is entirely dependent on you tagging along, as they can't kill the dragons. And since you can solo dragons pretty easily in Skyrim, well, they aren't really that useful, are they? But let me ask you something. Have you ever asked yourself, how do they know where the dragons are? I mean, for us, playing the game, we walk into Esbern and say, hey, is there a dragon I can fight? And then he says,
the Blades of the Second Era hunted down many dragons in their day, and they have records of where the beasts lived. Only you can truly defeat these monsters, Dragonborn. But you do not have to do so alone. The Blades can help you. Just ask, whenever you're ready to take on a dragon. We will send the Blades to help you fulfill your destiny.
Now, this is great for Esbern. He probably has some old books somewhere that talk about where the dragons will probably roost, and he tells you where to look. But what happens when all the dragons at these roosts are gone? What happens when they inevitably decide to stop going there because the Dragonborn keeps showing up and killing them? Good thing we have the Blades, right? But wait a minute. How am I, the player, going to keep using the Blades for their literal only purpose in-game once they run out of books? Do you see any horses around here? Do you see any ability from any of these people to use scouting techniques? Perhaps a telescope? If you want me to believe that they're going to be able to keep doing the only thing they do in the entirety of Skyrim they are capable of, and help me hunt dragons, I guess there just needs to be some sort of effort made to make me believe that. Because as it stands, it looks like their days are numbered. And we already established that they aren't serving the Dragonborn, being spies, preserving history. So once they aren't going to be dragon hunters anymore, what's the point? Is there a point? And speaking of having no point, we have reason number 14. They give up their divine mandate over a petty grudge. If you refuse to kill Paarthurnax, which for the purposes of this video, I'm saying you should, then they literally, explicitly refuse to help you.
Justice demands that he die for his crimes. Until he is dead, I'm afraid my oath as a blade prevents me from offering you aid and comfort.
Make your choice, Dragonborn. You're either with us or against us.
Imagine if you could talk to trees, okay? And there was a tree that was like, hey man, if you don't kill this guy that I don't like, I'm gonna refuse to have bark and grow leaves. Bitch, that's all you do. If you stop doing that, what exactly do you do here? You aren't a tree anymore. That argument is as absurd as the Blades, who have been back for about 5 whole minutes, by the way, being like, yeah, if the Dragonborn doesn't kill Paarthurnax, then we, the Blades, will refuse to give assistance to the only person in the world who can kill dragons. I'm sorry, what? This is like saying, hey man, if you don't stop driving your car, which pollutes the air, I'm gonna refuse to breathe any air until I die. Like, sure man, I get it, you're mad, but you're really gonna just let yourselves die over this? And they would too. They'll let the whole world be consumed by Alduin before compromising with you. Without the Dragonborn, there is no Blades. They can't kill dragons without you. But still, they are willing to say, bye-bye. It's absolutely nuts. I plan on getting into this in the next video, so I won't give it all away here, but if you are working with the Blades for a while, they actually tell you to kill Paarthurnax and refuse to help you before you have the Peace Council. So you can kill Paarthurnax at this point. And if you do, the Greybeards will still work with you for the good of mankind and have the Peace Council. This is all to save the world, right? But if you refuse to kill Paarthurnax, you know who refuses to help you from that moment? The Blades. Let me say this another way. When you go off to kill Alduin, the World Eater, to save the world, you cannot get a dragon-killing blessing from your own dragon hunter support staff because they are busy throwing a hissy fit unless you kill Paarthurnax. Unbelievable. And speaking of killing Paarthurnax, let's get to the star of the show today. Reason number 15. They want you to kill Paarthurnax. You all know why we're here, so let's just say it. Luckily, we actually have a 2-part reason here. First, killing Paarthurnax from the Blades is hypocritical. The Blades are the descendants of the Akaviri Dragon Guard. Long story short, a bunch of murderous slavers invaded Skyrim 2,000 years ago, and again 1,000 years ago. Those people became the Blades. The Blades want you to kill Paarthurnax for his slavery, empire-building crimes from 4,000 years ago, but they don't want any responsibility from their murdering, slavery, empire-building crimes from 2,000 years ago. Maybe we should all just leave the past in the past and everyone survives. Next, killing Paarthurnax doesn't actually help the dragon situation in the slightest. Quick question, why not kill Odhaving? Oh, because you need him to fly you to Skuldolphin? Well, I need Paarthurnax to teach me stuff, you morons. You think the dragons are bad now? Imagine them after we kill the leader of Team Good Dragon. There's being cautious, which I understand. And then there's being stupid. Paarthurnax is at worst a mole. And at a little better, he's probably a spy. And at best, he's an ally. There's no reason to kill him right now, at least. Presumably, we are all going to spend the rest of our lives killing dragons once we find them. So why don't we, at the very least, use this guy while he is alive to help us? And if in the future he does turn evil, we can just kill him then. What's the point of rebuilding the Blades, right? So they can carry on killing dragons after I die. Can we pretend to think before talking, guys? We don't have to do this today, at the very least. And even if you disagree with their logic, there's still even more reasons, like reason number 16, they have an attitude problem. I recently replayed the main quest with all possible endings, so I had it in my heart that I would be killing Paarthurnax at some point. You'd be surprised how early you can restart the Blades, and how early you can kill Paarthurnax. But that's not necessarily what surprised me. What surprised me is how pushy these guys are. I mean, it's like they have BPD. Again, I made a video last week examining their perspective, and there are valid reasons to go with them. But I could never do it because they're so bitchy. I mean, one second we're rebuilding the blades, and by we, I mean I, and the next second they're literally refusing to speak to me.
Until he's dead. Well, I'm sorry, but we would dishonor our oaths as blades if we continue to help you. Make your choice, Dragonborn. You're either with us or against us.
Until he is dead, I'm afraid my oath as a blade prevents me from offering you aid and comfort.
They make one argument each, and then they take any work you've done and just steal it from you. If they weren't essential, I'd kill them on principle. You genuinely don't get to talk to me this way. I'm the Dragonborn. You want to have a discussion? Fine. You want to put pressure on me to obey? Sure. You want to steal from me? I don't think so. This temple would still be closed if it wasn't for me. Esbern would be dead if it wasn't for me. Hell, the world would be over if it wasn't for me. How about you put some respect on my name? They're assholes, dicks, bitches, and a million other things. Why do they treat you like this? They both seem to act like they understand the idea of putting the greater good in front of their own desires.
Delphine, we're not here to rehearse old grudges. The matter at hand is urgent. Alduin must be stopped. Stop! Are you so blind to our danger that you can't see past your petty disagreements?
But not this time. This time they're literally like, murder a guy who you like, or I'm divorcing you. Then they refuse to talk. I swear this is true. Even if I agreed with them 100% and thought Paarthurnax deserved to die, I would still refuse on principle because of their attitude. And that's what made me put this reason close to the end. And yet it still isn't the most important. All the others don't matter because of reason number 17, they try to get you killed. Remember when you get forced to go to the Thalmor embassy? Elenwen recognizes you at the entrance.
But you have me at a disadvantage. I'm afraid I know nothing about you. Please, tell me more about yourself. What brings you to this... to Skyrim? What is it, Malborn?
Remember when I pointed out how stupid it was that the Blades put an appearance in their uniforms at the Peace Council? Well, that was only a sequel to their stupidity. Because the first time was when Delphine sends you to the embassy with pretty much no plan. Now, that's pretty stupid already, but if you pay attention, you realize that everyone in the party is on first name basis with Elenwen. And she almost recognizes you. Where does she recognize you from? Oh, well, the last time she saw you was... oh yeah, Helgen. So you do the math. That's right. In addition to this secret mission, usually ending with you very conspicuously murdering everyone in the entire place, you almost don't even make it through the front door because Elenwen makes you immediately. And then Maven Blackbriar does the same thing about 5 seconds later.
By the way, I don't know who you are, but unless you want me to blow your cover, I'd advise that you avoid me for the rest of the party.
Truly, if the world and the dragon situation is going to be trusted to anyone, it is imperative you make sure it isn't these guys. And that's after Delphine forces you to kill a dragon and steals the horn out from under you and a million other errands she sends you on. She does not care about your life. If you die, it's no skin off her back. The truth is, these guys at the very least don't care about you, and at the worst, probably hate you. And, well, there it is. Let me tell you, this video was a lot easier to write than last week's. There were so many reasons, and honestly, I kept thinking of more, and eventually I just had to put them on paper and get it done. I still have more things to say, so subscribe, and next week I'll put all the evidence together and we can talk about the correct answer to the choice of Paarthurnax and the Blades.
To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
I make weekly video game content, so if you like what you saw, reform an old organization that is doomed to fail because of how stupid it is, and name it Sistel Ravenrock. Then subscribe. It really helps with the channel. And until next time, I'll see you around.